been traditionally excluded from religious education were enrolled in a network of afternoon schools called Beis Yankev. Claire Yullis attended such a school in her native town of Russell. She remembers the effect it had on her and her friends.
What it gave us children and young people was a good Jewish education and a sense of pride. You see, in the public school, there was antagonism from a good many of the teachers and from the Gentile students. Mostly, not all, but mostly. And here in the Jewish school, it was Hamish. It was home. It was ours. I liked my friends. I enjoyed the social life in my town, the movements. For instance, in the Jewish scene, the movements, the Zionist movement, the Neo-Orthodox movement was all represented. There were what they call Verein, clubs. And there would be a Mizrahi and a revisionist and a labor Zionist, and there was, I think, even one communist in the town. I must say that the young people in my town, and this was true of the rest of Poland, they were active. Probably it was the best youth that the Jewish people ever had.
Leibke, mein Lieber, das wird kein Guts nicht geben. Du bringst mit deiner Gschones mich von Geduld heraus. Du musst dich lernen tanzen, ich schwör bei unser Leben. Allah nicht ist hein schon mit uns aus. Meig sich sein, was du bist, da verbrennt der Zionist, ab und da wird's weimen geht es on. Alle Isten seit der Zeit und auch die gute Leid tanzen Tango und Charleston. Komm, Leibke, tanzen, schäm sich nicht. Ich will dich führen, Tritt bei Tritt. Stell sich mein Lieber Hand gegenüber und heb zusammen mit mir an. Nimm fest darum, mich Leibke kreun. Das weißt du sicher, kennst du schon. Jetzt lass mir schweben, ach Sarah leben, wenn's tanzt da vor Charleston.
Marszałek Józef Piłsudski życie zakończył.
I remember Pilsudski's funeral, the funeral of his heart, which took place in Vilna, very well. The funeral procession was marching through the street where we lived and then out to the outskirts of the city. This was the street where we used to walk during our holidays or weekends with the parents, and it looked so beautiful, green and peaceful. But this time it had a feeling of something foreboding, as if a bad time was coming.
There were headlines from around the world. There were very, very days of crisis, international crisis. World War II closed in already. Blum departed, the prime minister of the People's Front in France. Edouard Daladieu became prime minister. And whatever changes came, they never say something good for the Jew. Oh, it's not good. It's not good for us. Because if the world shakes, we feel it.
After the death of Pilsudski, and with fascist regimes coming to power all over Europe, anti-Semitic elements grow bolder in Poland. Jews are attacked more relentlessly than before, and on all fronts, in the streets and the parks, at the ballot box, in the marketplace.
But say in business, they used to put pickets not allowed into Jewish stores and beat up the non-Jews who come into a Jewish store to buy some goods.
At the time of Hitler's rise and the rise of anti-Semitism in Poland, they tried to pass a law not to allow kosher slaughtering.
There was a fight in the parliament. This united every segment of Jewish parties, from the Bund to the Aguda. In between, the Zionists, the Folkists, the Democratic Party, every party was united because they considered this not only a religious matter, but it was a straight anti-Semitic onslaught against the Jews.
Let's say for 1,500 Jews, they're allowed only 2 cattle to be slaughtered ritually.
My father, being a Chazan, the cantor and shachat who prepares the ritual slaughtering, was not allowed, was forbidden to do it anymore, and being that the Jewish people were very religious and they had to have their kosher meat, he used to go out in the middle of the night to do it, and the government used to follow him around, police. We had a maid that used to go out with my father and take away the knife from him, and one time he was caught and they would have arrested him, but they couldn't find the knife with him, so it was a blessing.
In 1936, when I came to the university, the influence from Hitler Germany was already very strong in Poland. And Polish students, the reactionaries, National Democrats, they call themselves, start to fight the Jewish students. They don't let them in the classes, for example. And later on, they decided we cannot sit together with them. They decided for us to make separate benches on the left side. But we decided we won't sit on the left side. So we were standing the whole lectures listening to the professors or sitting on the floor, but not to sit on the left side. And we fought with them. We made one hunger strike. We closed up in our student body, in their place, and we were sitting there for 48 hours, not eating. And then a lot of people came. I remember it was on the 4th floor. We could see that our parents came to see if we were alive. Like I said, Dr. Shabbat, the whole Jewish leaders came to talk to us, but we didn't let in anybody. The only thing that he let in, through the window, he got water. I remember with a bottle, a pail. He let down a pail, and he gave us some water only to drink, because he didn't have water in the...
What was the purpose of the hunger strike?
To protest. We thought maybe we can do something against the beatings, against the hooliganism, I would say.
There is no such thing as black and white. In a way, life became harder. But at the same time, the inner life of the Jewish population became more intensive and more rich. It was a life in spite of poverty, in spite of anti-Semitism, of striving for something better.
This is footage of the town of Zarom in central Poland, taken in the 1930s. On July 17, 1937, the directors of the Jewish Children's Library in Zarom write a letter discussing their decision to build a new building. They mention the doubts of those who say, we will soon have to leave Zarom. But this, the letter goes on, is only a vacillating opinion of weak individuals. The great majority agreed that indeed, in this time when the material situation is so bad, we must create the possibility that our cultural center be able to last through the crisis, and exert ourselves to assure that the spiritual level of the youth not fall. All over Poland, Jews struggle for the future of their children. With financial aid from American Jews, they maintain a large number of health and educational institutions. Some are run according to the latest educational theories and become widely known outside of Poland, such as this orphanage, directed by the writer of children's books, Dr. Janusz Korczak. This footage is from a documentary film made in 1936 about another such institution, the Medem Sanitarium near Warsaw.
It was an institution established by the Jewish Socialist Bund to give children who were at a high risk of tuberculosis, to give them a rest, to give them better nourishment for a certain time. It later on developed into also educational institution. There was excursions into the neighboring villages to see what's going on, what kind of life nature has, and picking up some new species for the small, shall we call it, natural history museum. The ideals were those of social justice and equality, but at the same time, the individuality of the children, of every child, was brought out and was valued. There was a lot of humor.
Neuze, was ist nachts gekommen, das heißt in der Früh, dass die Kinder wollten sie warten. Wachter von sei. Man steht zum Teil. Nachts muss man so gebunden, und Heinz wieder warten sie. Die Häuser von nachher aufkriechen.
There were also reports on what was going on in the outside world.
Neues von der Welt. Hallo, hallo. Schon 3 Wochen ist gedauert der Streik von Kohlengräber in Zagłębie. Seine Kinder selbst essen.
Sanatorium was a dream world. There was a certain ideal, there was a longing to improve oneself and to improve society.
The dreams of these children of Jewish Poland will never have the chance to be either realized or frustrated. The tiny number of children who will grow up will find themselves starting over in strange countries.
When I was younger, my brother was always trying to get me to America to go. But I didn't care too much to go to America. I was doing pretty well for myself, and I was single and I was happy, so I didn't care to go. But 10 years later, the Hitler era was in full bloom, and we left to go to America. This was 1938. Before we left, we went to the cemetery to say goodbye to our people. There was a custom to do that because, you know, you never knew that you were ever going to come back here to see that. Matter of fact, I never did. And riding the trolley car, there was a Gentile fellow. He says to me, you see those buildings? Those buildings belongs to the Jews, and the street belonged to us. He said, there'll be a time pretty soon. Those buildings will belong to us, and you'll be out of the city.
Very few Jews leave Poland in the 1930s. Emigration has become too difficult and too expensive. Most Jews are absorbed in the struggle to survive and in their day-to-day lives.
This was taken in August 1939, the tragic year when Jewish life in Vilna was on the eve of complete destruction. But we didn't know anything about it at that time. And this picture just portrays a happy family in the country. My uncle, the director of the technicum at the Ort, his son, who together with his father perished in 1943 in the concentration camp of Estonia. Then my mother embracing her little niece, who already went to Yiddish schools and studied the poetry of Sutzkever. My mother was also killed in 1943 in Majdanek or Treblinka. I am afraid to